Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 63 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. I am getting to work on a little bit of a fun build for the moment. So last episode and the last few episodes actually we've been doing a bit of work with Thaumcraft, and in my adventures of Thaumcraft we found a nice little wisp spawner, which was nice, and I was excited to find such a thing. And unfortunately, wisp spawners are a vanilla spawning mechanic, which means the player needs to be nearby, they're not particularly fast, and they're not particularly exciting or fun to build and manage, right? So what we get out of this is this ethereal essence stuff, and you'll notice that you typically tend to get more of the primal aspects, so we have a ton of air and terra and ignis, but occasionally you will get some more advanced aspects like Sano and Fames, right? And we can see Tempestus here. So there's a few pretty cool aspects that we can get. But it's a slow process. So what I'd like to do is see if we can get this sped up a bit. The main problem being that when a player is not immediately nearby, this thing stops running, which is why we have so few of these. We actually moved this thing a couple episodes back, and all my work I've been doing has been in this building over here, and this is actually far enough away from the spawner to prevent the wisps from spawning. So we're going to resolve that today. I have come up with a plan for how this might work. But first I need to break the spawner. Oh no, don't break the spawner, you say? Never fear. When you break a spawner, Ender.io turns it into a broken spawner, and we're going to use this to start controlling the spawning of wisps, so that at the very least we can spawn them when the player is not around, and even more so we're going to eventually get it upgraded to the point where it's going to spawn wisps pretty darn quickly, and we'll manage to kill them pretty darn quickly, and that'll be a lot of fun. So, hopefully we can collect a lot of wisp essence and all that kind of stuff, and then Azenor is going to yell at me because I broke the balance of his mod again. Sorry, Azenor. I apologize in advance. But you know me, I like to break the things, especially when we get later on in the season. That's when I really start breaking things. So let's see what we got to do. So the broken spawner here, you can see that we need to go ahead and drop this in a soul binder if we want to change what type of monster is in it. So for example, if we want to alter what kind of spawner this is, that's what we would do in a soul binder. But we're not going to do that. We don't need to because we already have the right type of mob. It's a wisp. So all we need to do is get ourselves a powered spawner. And you can see we've already got one of them for zombies. So all I'm going to do is take this powered spawner and pop it over here. Da-dun, da-dun. And maybe it's this way that it has to go. I always forget. Yes, enchantment cost 30. So let's take these guys out of here, get ourselves 30 levels, and then we're going to use the powered spawner mechanic to go ahead and get ourselves a lot of wisps. There we go. And I haven't fully tested this, but I've mostly tested it, so we'll find out how it goes. So, a wisp powered spawner. So as we know, because we've played with these before in our blood magic area, these things do require a bit of power, and they're also going to require a bit of room. So let's set up a room here. I think I'm going to do similar to what I did over here, and if I want this to look nice, I should really mirror the exact layout. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, so 2 block gap in between this area. So I'm probably going to want to clear this out, right? In this place, I already cleaned out what used to have like the smeltery and all that from Tinkers, so that's all cleaned up already. So we're going to want to do something like this. And I should have handy, where's my blue pouch? A builder's wand? There it is. Sweet. Oh yeah, much better. So just remember when you do build with the builder's wand, sometimes you'll have to, you know, map this out a little bit ahead of time. There we go, and then 1, 2, 3, and that kind of correlates with that. So we've got 4 there. We've got, actually I went 1 too far. We really wanted to only have a little bit. So what I'm going to do is build out the room here. Of course, I want to build out, you know, a room around this spot. We're going to start getting ready to spawn wisps. It's getting dark out. I should probably get some dirt down to kind of have a floor base, and then we'll come back in a minute when we're ready to start doing the actual mechanical build of this thing, the technical build. That'll be a little bit more entertaining than watching me build a building. All right, be right back. Uh-oh. I just had a sudden and unnatural hunger consume me. This is not an ideal situation. I'm pretty sure that I need to eat some zombie flesh. Unnatural hunger 3. Ah, there we go. Unnatural Hunger 2. Ah, much better. Whew. That was a close one. That was one of those warp effects. We are going to, at some point, need to figure out how to handle those. Anyway, I'm currently in the process of building out my fancy, nifty little place that I wanted to make. And you can see it's going pretty well so far. Let's see, I'm going to want some more of these guys, probably. Yeah, I was just in the middle of building, and all of a sudden that hunger came over me, and I wanted to make sure you guys saw some of the negative effects that occur from messing with warp. Not a good time, for sure. Yeah, that looks pretty good, right? And then we could probably put the wand on here, equal trade. Remember, you can shrink this down or make it larger. Haha, cool. By the way, you can just left-click to do individual blocks, too. So even if you're, like, larger, if you left-click, it'll just do the one block. Neat. But we're not going to leave that there. Alright, so we've got a room ready. We're probably just going to place, very simply, the powered spawner kind of back in the center of the room. So I'm thinking this is where you're going to want it to be, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that should be fine. It's really 2 back from the wall, 3 back from the front. That should be fine. So that's where we're going to want to drop our powered spawner for wisps. Right, like so. I would like to sneak down there, so let's go into bat mode and just kind of see what the layout of this area is. I wouldn't mind just having... I want to make sure that we don't actually have any issues with wisps potentially spawning outside this room. And sometimes you might wind up having an issue like that, so I'm going to make sure that this place is pretty well filled. Let's get some more smooth stone. You know, as much as I tease Soren about his Cobbleworks builds that he does, it's kind of nice having like an unlimited supply of stone and smooth stone and sand and all that cool stuff. I may at some point need to copy one of his designs and get us just unlimited sand, glass, stone, cobblestone, that kind of stuff. We'll see. That may be a project for another day. Looking good. Gotta love the builder's wand. Alright, cool. So that looks nice. Now we have access down here. I'll fill this all in with stone once we get to that point that we want that. But, alright. Let's get some power run over here, and then we're going to toggle the on-off switch thing going, and we'll be right back to configure all that once I've got all the resources I need. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to make sure to do is, because this thing can actually draw quite a bit of power, I want to make sure that I use the right power conduit for this, and currently I've been using just the low tier conduit for everything work that I've been doing down here, so I'm going to tap into the other side of this tesseract and get this thing going. So we can come up here and tap directly in. So now we're feeding power in there, but note that it's set to only be active with a redstone signal. So we're definitely going to want some kind of redstone signal going on here. Ooh, getting dark again. I'm thinking probably right here, right? That might not be a bad spot for it. And we can just run down like this. Yeah, that should be fine. So let me go sleep through the night, and then we'll be back. So let's give this thing a whirl, shall we? We'll pop this guy on here with the lever here. We'll cover this thing up as well. And if we right-click this thing, we should see it activated. Nice. And it should be able to spawn wisps. And you'll notice there's already an octadick capacitor in there, so that is cool. Oh boy. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this in bat form. Haha. Nice. You can also see that I have almost no inventory space, as usual, because this is me and this is what happens. That's okay. Cool. Alright, so now we've got an on-off switch for that. We don't have a way to kill the wisps yet, but it should be pretty quick and easy to set that up. I just have to decide if I want to go with a grinder again, or if I want to try something new. I also want to cover this flooring up as best as I can. Because that would be smart of me. Cool. Alright, back in a minute once I've completed the next stage of this build. Alright, decided to go with a grinder again, just because, you know what, we've already got most of the infrastructure there, and there's no sense reinventing the wheel. But we will want some pressurized fluid conduits and item conduits ready to go so that this thing can work. So let's get it set up. Is it this side or that side that we want the grinder? The other side. So, wrench. Okay, I'll just break you then. There's that, and Tyrion ready to go. So let's drop down here and see what we've got. We'll just tap right into the power lines, and we'll jump into bat mode. And what we should be able to do is very easily hook into everything. So if we look, we should see, so there's liquid going into the spawner, right? So we don't really want to tap into that line. We want our liquid line to be separate from that. Because how do we have this down here? So liquid comes, I think it goes directly into the piping up there. Let's see, where's my portable hole this thing? There's hardly anywhere to portable hole through. Oh boy. That's weird. It claims I died, but I didn't really. Weird. That's a weird bug. I don't think that was the portable holes bug, but I'll sort that in a minute. Alright, so what we've got here is the grinder going directly into the tank, and then the tank into the spawner. That's what I thought we had. Alright, let me decide how I want to handle this liquid stuff. So I decided, you know what, I'm not even going to handle it. Let's just pump power into there so that that thing's ready to roll. And we're also going to pipe item conduits here. So, and we will configure this item conduit to extract always active. And we're just going to come right down here and run this guy across. That will that mess with this thing? I'm just going to set this guy to disabled so that he doesn't interact with that. And let's actually switch this to item conduit only mode so we can see that, yeah, see how it's not connected to that thing anymore? Cool. Might need a few more item conduits here in a moment, but we'll see. What do we got going on here? I think those are item conduits coming out of there. Yeah, see, that's already an item conduit there. So if I just tap into this line, then let's see what happens. I'm going to snag. Here's how I'm going to test this. You ready? No wool in the system, right? Let's get ourselves golden lasso. Sheep, you are my test subject. Sorry, it's just the way it goes. So when this timer ticks down to 0, the sheep should be killed, and if the connections are all right, we'll see wool in the AE system. Done. Wool. Nice. Awesome. So it's working perfectly. So now all we have to do is build a wall. Let's get some ethereal glass, because that is the fun stuff to build with. Mobs can't get through, players can. Gotta love it. So, ethereal glass, that's the dark ethereal glass. I probably want the normal kind. I'm going to have to get an unstable ingot, aren't I? Yeah, alright. I wanted the clear ethereal glass. Let me find that stuff, because I'm not sure if it's the same or different, I forget now. Okay guys, I remember now. It's, we're going to want to use the, whoops. That's what I get for closing the crafting window. Far too much junk in my inventory. So I've got 12 of them. I want 20 in total. It's ineffable glass is what it's called. Let me tidy this up. That's enough for now. Maybe put a few things away just to make things a little bit easier on me. There we go. Let's get 2 more diamonds and 2 more iron. And try that again. So iron divided by diamond times 2. Clear that out. 1, 2. Sweet. Oh, gotta sleep. Division by diamond. Get you every time. So that should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's the clear stuff that I wanted. And that should be a wisp spawner. Activate. And just a little blocketeria in here to complete the build. Sweet. And again, with the octadick capacitor in there, this thing's draining 1500 RF a tick. That's a pretty serious amount of RF. But it also means getting lots and lots of those essences. So let's keep an eye on this thing and make sure that we keep getting all the cool stuff that we want. Nice. Yeah, look at that. We're going to have a lot of essences by the time this is done. How's our power situation? Are we in trouble? Or is it okay? So this thing is definitely draining power. Okie dokie. Not the end of the world. We do have a lot of fuel burning for this stuff, but I think we'll be alright. We'll keep an eye on this thing for a little bit. We might want to create an auto shut-off at some point. I don't know. I'll come up with something. Don't worry. Let's see. Oh, fancy. I love the wand of equal trade. And there's one more thing I want to do. Just because it's been bugging me, and it's probably been bugging you guys, so you're going to yell at me if I don't do it, right? I actually had the mod author of Chisel contact me to apologize that Chisel 2 derped up some of the micro blocks. I'm like, don't worry about it, dude. Like, you know, it's a whole new version of Chisel, and if this is the worst thing that happened, it's not that big a deal, right? There we go. Much better. So, by the way, we are running on Direwolf 20 Pack 1.2.1, which at the current moment is considered a beta. At the time of this recording, it's available on the launcher, so if you guys want to try it, definitely back up your worlds. If it's recommended at this point, by the time this video goes live, even better. That's cool. There's been a lot of updates. Pretty much almost every mod in the pack got an update, I think, and a lot of cool stuff has been added. We have 1 or 2 new mods, I believe, and we'll be checking them out soon. Like, I believe we got Endertech this time around. Yes, Endertech came through. So, Endertech is cool. It gives you a redstone exchanger, which is very similar to the wand with the exchanger thing on it. So it's pretty much the same functionality, but then there's also a couple other neat blocks here, like ender tanks that can store lots of liquids. We'll start playing with these a little bit, and some charge pads too, but we've got wireless redstone from Ender.io. So, but the tanks are pretty cool, and the redstone exchanger is really neat. You guys have seen me play with that on Forgecraft. All right, so now that we've got the wisp spawner up and running, this thing is draining power like nobody's business, but that's okay. We're going to come back in a minute and see how we make out with that wisp spawning stuff. So guys, I just did a little bit of research and I want to try out. Now, it's been a while since I've even tested this, but I think it might be something I can do. Let's come up with something cool that we might be able to do that would be really neat. First thing I'm going to need is a computer. And we're going to do a little bit of testing with ComputerCraft. You guys have seen me in the past automate aspects with ComputerCraft. And that's something I'm going to try for again. So let's see. Aspectalizer requires... How do we craft that thing? Where is my Thaumonomicon? Thaumonom. Alright, so it's great wood planks, thaumium ingots, and a thermometer. So let's get a thermometer. Pop over to our Thaumcraft area. We will snag some great wood planks And we will snag some thaumium, which should be craftable, but luckily we have the 4 that we need. So we'll do you. And I forget if the planks were in the middle or if the ingots were. Oh, good, we got it right. Sweet. So the aspectalizer is neat. It's a cool little device. What you can do is place it down on the ground, and you see it has 1 inventory slot. So I'm going to put the ethereal essence of Ignis in there. What you can do with this is go ahead and pop your computer down and wrap it as a peripheral. And you won't have to know too much about this because I'll do most of the coding. And let's do list methods. I don't know if that'll work. All right, so I have to figure out exactly what the peripheral commands are for the aspectalizer. 1 sec. So there you go, it's p.getAspects, right? So you can see that it's going to tell you that it's got Aurum and Ignis. Cool. Now if I were to place another thing in there, so for example this guy, we'll see that it's got Aurum and Terra. Awesome. And I'm guessing this is alphabetical the way it returns it. Aurum and Precantatio stuff. Precantatio. There you go, guys. Everybody's yelling at me for saying it wrong. Precantatio. Aura and Fames. So we can figure out items and what is on them. That's step 1. Step 2 is going to be talking to these warded jars. So for that, we're going to have to do a little bit more magic. All right, next thing to make is a couple cool things. We're going to need a peripheral proxy from Open Peripherals. We're going to need some networking cable and a good old wired modem. And if we pop back over to our Thaumcraft room, so what we want to do is connect the computer directly to the jars in this room to find out what's in them. Unfortunately, we have no problem connecting a cable or a networking connector here to the computer, but you can't really place these on the warded jars themselves because warded jars aren't full blocks. Luckily, there's a mod that adds an item that helps that. It's Open Peripherals, gives you a peripheral proxy, and what that does is allow you to connect to a block that would otherwise not allow a peripheral connection, and it just automatically routes that connection for you. So if we connect these guys like so, that should be cool. We can activate this, activate that, and then we can do something like this. We'll do J for jar. And we want to do TT aspect container 0. Get aspects. ITER, nice. So you can see that there's, in fact, ITER in the jar. That's cool. And I think if we did get aspect count, not get aspects count, but aspect count, that's not good. You know what? I think we actually have to tell it ITER. Nice! It told me there's 47. So you'll notice here, 47 ITER in the jar. So now we have a programmatic way, using Computercraft and computers, to read the amount of liquid in these jars and read the type of items in these things. So now we just have a couple more. So guys, I've written a very simple program. What it does is first finds the aspectalizer in this connection here. It grabs the chest here, and it goes through the first 5 inventory slots in the chest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it pushes the item from the chest into the inventory that's on the west side of the chest, which is that direction, into the aspectalizer. It then gets the aspects on it, and since we found that it's always the second aspect, that's the one that we care about, Aurum's always the first, and the second one's always, you know, slot number 2 here. Now the only time this is an exception is for Aurum itself. That's always just going to have just Aurum on it, but we'll deal with that later. I'm just doing this as a sample to show you guys how this basic functionality works. And then we pull the item into the slot from the west inventory. And remember, A here represents the inventory slot. So we go slot 1, we push it from slot 1 into slot 1 in the aspectalizer. And then when we're pulling it, we pull it out of slot 1 in the aspectalizer. We pull one item and we pull it into slot A, which is slot 1 through 5. So what this should do is very quickly move inventory back and forth, and we should almost immediately be able to find out what aspects are in each of those slot numbers. Boom. So we can see which slot number has which aspects on it. Very cool. And if we wanted to, we could even print out the slot number. So we could say something like slot A has data. Slot 1 has Ignis, slot 2 has Terra, slot 3 has Percantatio, etc., etc. So now we have a really easy way to do the following. And this is similar to a program that I've written in the past, but it's totally different because in the past we were using logistics pipes, I think, in the single player series. I did something similar-ish on Forgecraft, but I think this is better than the one I did on Forgecraft, and we're going to have some other things that we didn't have on Forgecraft, because that was back, I think, in, was it 1.4 or 1.5 that we did that? So definitely have some better ways to do what we want to do. But long story short, we have a way to store all the types of Wisp, the Ethereal Essence Wisp items, right? We can figure out which slot has which aspect on it, and then we can figure out how much of each aspect we have in all of our jars. Cool. So if we configure everything correctly, we should have a way to automatically populate the jars with the right aspects at all the times, and we can take them from the ethereal essences. Speaking of ethereal essences, let's go see how our ethereal essence farm is doing. Dun 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 dun. So this thing is cooking. I assume a wisp will show up here any moment and then die. Come on, wisp. I hear wisps, but I don't see wisps. Are they showing up down here? Ah, see? Remember I was afraid that they could show up down here, and I was like, we're going to fill this area in to prevent that possibility? I didn't fill in enough room. There we go. Come on, you. Kill the wisp. Nice. Let's real quick grab this guy, go. Just want to make sure that we're not having any wisps show up where we don't want them. And it looks like we're doing pretty good with that, so we're okay. Just wanted to make sure there were no spots the wisps could appear. So they're getting killed, and if we take a look in our AE system here, we should see, yeah, we're doing pretty darn good, aren't we? I mean, clearly, like I said, right, Aqua, Ordo, Air, those are the ones that are the most common by far. Like, it looks like we've almost gotten a stack of each of those, where most of the other aspect types, like Fames and Urba and Mortis, we're only getting like one here and there. So it's definitely going to take a while before we have a good build-up. The good news is, of course, that we have two of each aspect on these ethereal essences, so that's kind of cool. So I'm going to let this thing run for a bit, and hopefully, when we come back next episode, another thing I'm going to do and spend some time on is writing some code. I'm debating if I want to just... I mean, it's actually shouldn't be too hard to write this code. So what I'm probably going to wind up doing is writing it all from scratch instead of trying to go back and find the old version of the code that, you know, I did in the past. So they do sneak out every now and then. The best way to kill wisps, by far, is the lightning wand. Keep that in mind. Absolutely best by far. So yeah, maybe we'll get to the point where maybe we have multiple of these powered spawners going. That might be a little bit crazy. It's going to require a massive power dedication, though, so we might have to get to the point where we're starting to produce a lot more power. But there's a few other things I want to do besides this crazy contraption and setup that I want. There's a few things. I want to do that. I want to automate a little bit more Thaumcraft, because as we advance in Thaumcraft, we're going to definitely want that automation occurring. And then, what else are we going to want to look at? I don't know. I wouldn't mind maybe getting to the point where I have a new type of terrain eater. So right now, this guy, let's go for a ride. Oh neat, my wings didn't die. So that's a bug that's fixed in the update, but we've got a weird sound issue. I don't know why those sounds stuck, but that'll fix that for the time being. If we come over here, what's happening? He's not upstairs here, so he must have fallen down here. Alright, so we're going to have to move him up. But there's a couple things. Let's go next cycle. That should bring us back up to the top, and we'll let that thing rise. So I might want to create another setup of this, because this is working pretty well, but every now and then he gets stuck. He's still pretty fast, but we might see if we can improve the design. I don't know. And there's plenty more we have to get to. I'd like to continue to advance in Britannia and Blood Magic. There's a few mods we haven't even looked at yet. Lots more things coming in this season of the Let's Play series. Unfortunately, though, guys, it is time for me to wrap up this episode. So for now, Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We've got a pretty good supply, if I do say so myself, of the aspects that are required for some of our Thaumcraft work that we're going to be doing. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to be able to automate this system as well as I did. I actually came into it thinking it wouldn't turn out so well, but it turned out better than I thought. So I'm excited about that. Oh, good. The broken sound is gone. So for now, gotta wrap up the episode, but I'm gonna come back, hopefully have the code ready for next episode. If I don't, I'll get it within the next couple episodes here. Like I said, we have plenty of other things to work on if I don't get around to getting that code ready. The one main thing, I do have to figure out how these guys are sneaking out of here. Maybe that powered spawner has a slightly larger spawning radius than the MFR spawner. And if that's the case, I might need to figure something out. I don't know. I'll manage. All right, guys. Take it easy.